Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Yukishi, and I've been playing Duet Night Abyss since launch now, and there's a lot to say about it. Originally, this would have been a 1 week in review, but I decided to scrap it since it was all over the place, not scripted, and I wasn't rank 55 yet. For the uninitiated, Duet Night Abyss is the newest, not a gacha, game that recently came out, and people were quick to point out that it's just anime Warframe. Before it came out, it was going to be a gacha, but then the devs decided 3 or so months before release to scrap that idea and make all characters and weapons freely obtainable, including dupes. While this was huge, I had my concerns, because the cost would be incredibly high, and man was I right. To get the small review portion out of the way first, without spoiling anything, the story was great, combat is fine, exploration is fine, the game looks and runs great for my PC, minus some hiccups, and the characters' designs are incredibly unique and stand out. When it comes to equipment, each character can equip one melee weapon, one ranged weapon, and some characters have a fixed consonance weapon they can use, which cannot be leveled up or changed. It appears during their burst and is a bulk of their damage for those units. The best part about the equipment is that every character can use any weapon. Want Outsider to use a Claymore? Go ahead. You want Truffle to use a grenade launcher? You're free to! Obviously, for some units, you want to avoid that because some weapons were made specifically for that unit, but go with what you like. There's also these cute little creatures called Genimon, which give a passive buff and an active buff who you can use in and outside of combat. These guys are a pain, but are worth it in the end to grind for because it will make doing things so much easier. This section will need me to explain some of the game's systems, so bear with me here. There's a ton here, and a lot of it is just not good and needs to be fixed. Like Warframe and other gacha games, you need to grind resources in order to level your characters. There's a lot of resources needed, but that's standard. Commissions are your means of getting those items. For my Hoyo and Wuwa players, don't worry. Commissions don't mean daily quests. It's a menu in the game that shows you every item you'll need to grind. Excavation is an infinite game mode that gives you coins. The goal is to fill up 3 excavators to 100% and defend them. You do this by defeating a specific airborne enemy that will drop a cube that will increase the excavator's total by 20, because you only start with 20. So you'll need 4 cubes total to get it to 100. You need to repeat this process 3 times in order to cash out. Hedge is your means of obtaining character XP. All you have to do for this one is to go to a destination and fight through enemies till the serum says 100%. It's simple and easy enough. Termination provides weapon XP, your weapons being a melee weapon and ranged weapon. You fight 40 enemies, but you have to explore the map a bunch to fight those 40 enemies. Exploration is another infinite, and it's your means of ascending your units. For this one, you can either just fight a bunch of enemies until you reach 100% serum, or go around the map for these obelisks that will give you 15%, so 7 in total, before you hit 100. Mediation is for weapon ascension, and one of the best ones purely based on the objective. The game wants you to fight 3 different enemies, then go to a giant obelisk and destroy it. However, you can just go to the panel and attack it with your highest damage dealing DPS and annihilate it. Expulsion is one way of getting demon wedges, which is this game's gearing system, and it's just beat up 100 enemies without any restriction. Simple, easy, quick to do, and fun too, kind of. More on that in a bit. Escort is brain dead simple. It's for Carmine globules, which is the material you need to level up your demon wedges, instead of, using low tier demon wedges. Again, more on demon wedges in a bit. All you have to do is stealthily go around a portion of the map and free a captured NPC, then leave. Capture is how you will get your skill upgrade materials. However, it's only the green and blue tier for some asinine reason. It's simple enough for sure, but it depends on the DPS you're using since the target you need to capture changes to have variety. Defense is also needed for upgrading skills. It's infinite too, but when you get to the higher levels, it's also one of the more time-consuming ones. You have 3 waves of enemies coming in from multiple points of the map, and you have to protect the machine in the middle. And lastly, relocation, which is for forging materials, but this one you don't really need to do. All you do is just hop onto a vehicle and defend it until it reaches its destination. Time-consuming. Remember those demon wedges? Well, the next tab in your commissions is the Noctoyager manual, where the bulk of your gameplay will go into after you're done leveling up characters. This is how you get your demon wedges at a greater rate. There's multiple levels, and each one is a different commission mission. I'll save you the grief. Do each and every single one of them until you have all the demon wedges lit up and move on. 50 and 55 share the same possible rewards. Do level 50. After you're done getting all 3, prioritize the Blessed Deacon Sacrifice, as you can get the chance of getting Fenrir's Swift Drop Shot, which is invaluable once you reach rank 50. The reason I'm saying to do 55 instead is because level 50 is defense, while 55 is expulsion, the one where you defeat 100 enemies, and because expulsion is much quicker to do. Expulsion takes less time to do overall. 55 is also important because you can get the chance to obtain the Serenity and Uplift Demon Wedges, which help immensely. One of the few positives about Demon Wedges, unlike in every other gacha game, the wedges have fixed substats, so all you need to worry about is whether or not you get the right Demon Wedge, and that's it. Huge positive for this game. Your covert commissions is for acquiring characters, weapons, and Demon Wedge blueprints. Nearly any activity you do in this game will net you a secret letter clue. 10 of these clues can be exchanged in the shop for any one of the character, weapon, or Demon Wedge secret letter. However, not all characters, weapons, and Demon Wedges are available from the shop. For characters and weapons, some of them are locked behind fighting the bosses, and you'll only get 5 attempts every week. No, you don't get to 5 attempts per boss. You get 5 attempts across all bosses. This is one of the gacha-isms that's still sadly in the game. For Demon Wedges, you get a random blueprint after doing a bounty commission up to 3 times every week. Going into Echoes of Misty Step, it's basically your endgame mode. Mystic Maze is a very terrible roguelike mode that only lets you go in with a single character, and said character goes in without their Demon Wedges. Not only that, but even if you select, say, level 50, the boss will be 30 levels higher than 50. This is the case for all the floors. One could argue it's a good thing they don't allow Demon Wedges, because then you can just take a character as is, who you only invested their ascension and skills, and wreck face. While that's neat and all, this restriction should be lifted after a time. Immersive Theater is the main endgame mode. Think Spiral Abyss, Memories of Chaos, Shiyu Defense, Terror of Adversity for my Hoyo/Wuwa players. And, much like those endgame modes, after a while, Theater wants you to use 2 specific elements when clearing it, otherwise you will have a bad time. As of recording, it's Wind and Fire units you'll want to prioritize. With that all out of the way, let's talk about the bad, because there is a lot to talk about. I said the combat was fine, and that's because there's no real aerial combat at all. If you're in the air and attack, you immediately plunge to the ground instead. There's a handful of enemies on the game that are airborne, and while I could use the gun my character has equipped, I'd rather let my melee weapon do the talking and fight in the air. The second issue I have with combat is there's no heavy attack. Now, I use an Xbox controller, so heavy attack would obviously be the Y button, the top-facing button. But there's only attacking and charged attack. Not that big of a deal, but I personally would like a heavy attack to add variety to combos. The third issue with combat more so has to do with being knocked down and not having a quick get back into action thing most action games have. Not that huge of a deal, but it's something I'd like to see be fixed. Fourth, and most important, the lock-on. Locking on doesn't actually lock onto the enemy, it just points you to the direction of it. But wait, I hear you crying. Bosses can be locked on too. While that is true, when bosses phase shift or bounce all over their arena, which they have a tendency to do so, the lock-on gets unlocked, so you don't know where they are. Obviously, the simple fix would be to make lock-on work on all enemies and keep the lock-on targeting the boss. And this is especially important for characters like Lisbel. I don't know about anyone else, but when I'm playing games on PC, I use a controller. Sadly, it has to be the Xbox controller instead of PS4, but whatever. The main issue is that the game sometimes won't register the controller or any of its buttons, or just outright mistake a button pressed to do something else. Here's a clip of me pressing the bottom face button, which is jumping, but I attack instead. This issue also arises whenever I press the map button or try to open the menu. It's gotten to be annoying, and this needs top priority above anything else. I won't be learning how to play with keyboard and mouse. Controller is more comfortable for me personally. I don't know if I'm alone in thinking this, but I personally would love to dye the characters' default skins too. If we can do it for weapons, why not for characters? Yes, there's the cosmetics and actual alt skin, but I like to color the default skin. It would be nice. As I'm grinding and leveling up / crafting items, you burn through coins really fast, and I mean really fast. I did a run of Mystic Maze the other day and got over 840k coins, but that's because I didn't claim my weekly rewards yet. One run for now nets me around 150k. At the end of the session, I was down 500k and about to lose even more because I'm crafting weapons, which cost 280k for some asinine reason. I should not be burning through coins at all, let alone losing so many. The main crux of the issue when it comes to grinding for materials is that you don't get enough from doing one round per the amount the game expects you to fork over. Capture being an excellent example of this. At level 70, you get 3 green, 1 blue, and no purple material, and you need 10 plus purple at the later stages for character skills. At that stage of the game, bare minimum, it should be 9 green, 3 blue, and 1 purple at least. But wait, it gets worse. Mediation. While simple, easy, and quick to do, gives you 3 materials for both the melee weapon and ranged weapons, and it's random which of one of the 3 you get, and you need 10 plus purple. But like Capture, you only get 1 blue and 3 green. Not only that, but most if not all weapons require 2 of the 3 materials as well in order to ascend. Termination isn't fun because you have to run around the place defeating mobs and only getting 3 purple XP books and 5 blue, when you need 50 plus in the higher stages of weapon ascending. And yes, weapon ascending does matter and does a lot. Hedge is just as bad since it gives the same amount of XP mats. Excavation only gives around 150k coins if you do the 5 waves before it resets, but at that stage of the game you have access to a better money-making / farming in fishing and mystic maze, albeit you chew through money in this game like no one's business. Now, with Exploration, it does give you 2 purple, but to get a character from 60 to 70, you need 12 purple. If you're not crafting your greens into blues or blues into greens, that's 6 waves. And while each wave does give a small boost in what gets dropped, blue and purple don't increase until much later. Escort, while brain dead simple, only gives you 480 demon wedge mats, and you need 900 per purple demon wedge, 4500 per gold. And by the way, I'm I think I'm rank 56 right now, so I'm not 60, so yes, this would increase, but the problem still stands. Reportedly, you also need a metric truckload for gold wedges in terms of ascending them. I'll post about it when I get there. Defense is by and far the worst offender though. You have 3 waves you need to get through before you get to go again, and when you do, only the Lunos go up. The character skill mats don't, and you need 18 of them for level 6 to level 7, and then 24 for level 7 to level 8. You get the gist. But wait, the pain train doesn't stop there. Allow me to introduce the worst forging system in a gacha game to date, cause what in the 9 hells were the devs thinking? Forging in this game is simple. 3 mats of the current tier to go into the next one. Takes no time at all, doesn't eat up a lot of currency, that's fine. But then you get into the really painful stuff that you can only get through crafting. Gold sand, repulsive crystal, yum treats, high level commission manuals. Namely, the gold sand and repulsive crystals are the biggest offenders. Crafting these items requires 15 Luno mementos, and per 1 item of this needs 10 minutes. Depending on the weapon you need, these 2 items take up to 2 hours to make, from just forging alone. Because there's 2 materials to go into a little item that the game fails to mention when getting the chance to make a weapon. In order to make a weapon in the first place, you typically need 1 each of the material you get at bronze and silver tier, then the blueprint which gets consumed upon use, which is stupid, but more on that later. But you also need 2 of either a sharpening potion or projectile, and both of these needs the aforementioned gold sand and repulsive crystals. To craft one of these, you need 6 and 4 total of either gold sand or repulsive crystal, depending on what you're crafting. That's 300 Lunos in total, and you only get 10 from defense at rank 55. But wait, it gets worse. Unlike most games that respect your time, crafting these items actually takes time, so you'll have to wait a little over 5+ hours just to get a weapon. But wait, it gets worse somehow. If you have enough materials to craft more than 1 of the same weapon at the same time, the game won't let you. This is the same for demon wedges. You'll have to wait the 3 hours for the weapon to be done, then you can craft the other weapon, or the same weapon again. That is straight up horseshit. That is nearly a full day's worth of waiting just to max out a single weapon. As in, you, the player, have an overabundance of coins. The coins aren't an issue. You have all 5 of the silver and the bronze materials. And then you have, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12? 12 sharpening potions / projectiles. And you're free to craft all 6 of them all at once. Or just one at a time, after another. You can't do that. You can only craft 1, and then wait 3 hours, and then craft again, then wait another 3 hours. I have all the materials, let me craft them all together. Do what Genshin does, where if I have enough materials, I'm allowed to craft multiple at the same time, and they take up the same amount of time. So instead of waiting 18 fucking hours, I only need to wait 3. It's that simple. Now, yes, you can just do the bounty commission continuously instead because the higher levels give you 35 and 40 Lunos on repeat runs. That doesn't automatically fix the issue though. While, yes, you can just wait out the 3 hours, I shouldn't have to wait the 3 hours to begin with. It should be an instantaneous craft or it should only take 5 to 10 minutes. Don't even get me started on the bounty manuals either. 4 green goes into a blue, but blue only gives 2%, not 4, so you lose out on that 4%. Some might make up the excuse that in exchange for increased drops, it's more time efficient, and to that I say, that's a bullshit excuse and you know it. It should be 2 green for 1 blue, 2 blue for 1 purple, 2 purple for 1 gold. 1%, 2%, 4%, and 8%. The fact that it's not this is asinine to me. Now for the next major issue I have with the game, and that's acquiring characters and weapons, mostly characters. As mentioned before, you need 10 secret letter clues for 1 secret letter of a character you can get from the shop. The main issue I personally have is that you don't get nearly enough, and they're called thoughts per rank. Bronze, you get nothing, silver, you have a chance at getting only 2, and gold gives 10. You need 30 thoughts to get the character / have enough for a dupe. That is abysmally low and takes on average 20 to 30 secret letters to get 1 copy of a character, more if you're just unlucky. This can be easily fixed. Get rid of the XP stuff you can get at bronze, and 1 secret letter note. Bronze gives 5 thoughts, silver gives 10, and gold gives the 15. Bronze has a 50% chance to appear, silver a 30% chance, and gold a 20% chance. So, bare minimum, that's 6 missions to get a single character, 42 to get a character maxed out. That's fair, balanced, and for only a single character. That is still 42 times you would have to do the mission. That's a good thing. Now, weapons don't really have that issue, since you can realistically get everything within 10 secret letters, but it comes with its own bundle of problems. Forging the potion bullets aside, the blueprint being consumed on use makes 0 sense and should instead be changed to needing the potion / bullet, and only 1 of it as well. The forging recipe would then change to only needing the 1 potion / bullet accordingly. For demon wedges, I'd say the same and just abandon the blueprints and instead give the gold tier through the Noctoyurgem manual. Have it so that each one is similar to the level 65 tab, where you only get that elemental demon wedge in gold if you do the specific elemental fight. And make an expulsion where you just fight 100 enemies. The blueprints are an unnecessary step and doesn't need to be there. Now, before anyone gets on my case, I like to grind in video games. I like leveling up and becoming overpowered than what the game expected of me and just obliterating the competition. I'm that crazy of a motherfucker who nearly completed the field guide in Digimon Cyber Sleuth before reaching the actual end of the game. For context, that game's grinding takes hours to do because a lot of the later Digimon require specific stats. The only way to get said stat is through the Digifarm, and depending on what training you do, can take up to 2 hours to do. Combine that with needing to research a specific item to gain even more XP from fights, the grind took me a while. I only have some DNA Digivolutions left, or Jogress as some may call it, and burst modes because those require high cam percent, which for those not in the know, is a stat that increases every time the Digimon fights in battle. Game isn't fully clear on it, but that's the gist. Anyway. When it comes to Duet Night Abyss, the grind feels like a chore, not fun, and a waste of time. I knew what I was getting into, but I didn't think it would be that awful. Grinding problems aside, the game also has some bug problems, like the launcher not working correctly, or reading the proper button inputs from a controller to outright refusing to do what players pressed. This game is good, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of issues with it that need to be rectified sooner rather than later. Just remember, it is okay to achieve a goal with grinding, and when you're finally done, you're free to move on until the next game comes out with the next big update. It's okay. People are acting as if being able to grind faster is a bad thing, when it's not. Being able to get everything quicker will be more fun, because then you get to use those characters more, and it will let you put the game down for a bit. Games like that were designed with that philosophy. Play them once a day for 10 minutes and go do something else, because you've already grinded for everything there is to do, and that's fine. I'm giving this game a solid 6 out of 10. Again, it's a good game, but the grind needs to be checked and it has a handful of bugs that need to be fixed. I've been Rikishi, and until next time, don't AFK farm, just use Lin/Psyche, trust me.